Well, hello once again, and welcome to the Spiritually Awakened Man channel. I'm Mike Jacobs, and I've put together these videos for people that are just getting started on their spiritual awakening journey so that they can start filling in some of the basic pieces of a framework of understanding relative to topics that I found extremely valuable when I was just starting my journey, and also maybe wished I had learned early on in my journey that I learned later. So I'm trying to help you accelerate this process so you get the most out of your spiritual awakening journey. So let's get into the topic. The topic today is entity attachments. Kind of a creepy topic, right? Why have I chosen to put this out today? Well, I think this video is important just to get a general introduction into entities and entity attachments, what they are, how you can recognize them, what you can do about them, and how you can create a hygiene program, for lack of a better word, to keep them from attacking you. There are things that are normal. We all have them. We will all have them and get rid of them. And so understanding what they are and how they function will help you better understand yourself, better understand your energy. So kind of let's get into it. This cycles back to something we talk about a lot, which is energy and your vibrational frequency, which is energy. Entity attachments attack you when you have a low vibrational frequency. So just as a general comment, keeping a high vibrational frequency will repel entity attachments and things like this. But we're not always high vibing. We have ups and downs in our life. We run into entity attachments. So it's important to understand how to recognize them and what to do about them. And I didn't, by the way, early on, but after I learned more later on in my journey, I started reflecting on, earlier times in my life where I was having trouble, frustrated, things weren't working my way. And I believe I was being attacked by entities and had entity attachments that were modifying my outlook on life, my personality a little bit. And they were coming along at times when I had a lot of pressure on me and my vibrational frequency was in the low areas. That's before I knew what vibrational frequency was. But anyway, I was able to recognize this after I started learning about entity attachments. And there's a lot you can do about it. The first thing is to recognize them. What are they? Well, they're basically an entity can be a low energy form of some sort. It doesn't have to be something that's of this earth. Okay, different dimension, usually the fourth dimension, from what I understand. Or it can be something like a soul. That would be at the higher level of an entity attachment, a soul that attaches and starts to really overtake your personality. That's not what I'm talking about so much here. I'm just talking about everyday entity attachments. I sort of think of them like, the kind of bugs we're exposed to every day from a biological perspective that our systems have learned how to, defeat and hopefully keep out of our lives for the most part. So entities, what are they after? They are after what they need to survive, which is energy. Again, like I said, this topic rolls right back to energy and frequency and all that again. So much of this does because that's what the higher dimensions are all about. Anyway, these entities survive off of energy and they attach themselves to your aura so they can suck energy away from you. And at various times, we probably all have several entities doing this until we learn more about it and we learn what people that you see that are really, really down, really in a negative place in their life and have been for a while, it's highly likely that they have multiple energy attachments. They're just getting ganged up on. And it's like a cycle that just pulls them deeper and deeper and deeper. So that's generally what they're after. They want this energy. And so what you need to do is start by understanding how to recognize something that could be an energy attachment. And I've got a list of them here I'd like to go through. There's many lists on the internet that you can also look up and get different ideas, can get very lengthy lists, but these are some basic things that I think about when I'm not feeling right and I do something about it. So they can be physical, they can be emotional, they can be psychic, they can be mental, just so you know. There's different forms. There's a few more of those in that list, but these are the key ones, I think. Sometimes when you're feeling tired and drained, you might think about energy attachment. Now, just because you're tired or drained doesn't mean it's being caused by energy attachments. Just because you're tired, it doesn't mean that it's an entity attachment that's causing it. But it can be an entity attachment or more than one helping to drag you down into that zone. Maybe you're generally just tired because you've been working hard. Maybe you haven't been getting a lot of sleep. You're drained for a variety of reasons, right? We go through these cycles in our lives. But entities use those moments as a way to jump on board or dig out a bigger position in your aura. So you might think about that. Outbreaks of emotional anxiety, grief, guilt, or panic. Those are just some examples. Things that are not normal for you, things that you don't really want to be doing. And if you catch yourself doing, you might think to yourself, wow, where did that come from? It's not like me. Or someone else might tell you, hey, you're not yourself. What's wrong with you? You have a high level of anxiety. That's not the person I know. Think about entity attachments, feeling, heavy depression. Now we all go through ups and downs, like I said before, but sometimes there's no reason for it. You might think about the entity attachment aspect. Feeling attacked, kind of like someone's out to get you. Feeling paranoid about somebody. Normally, you don't really have any specific reasons to feel that way. Entity attachments change the way you look at the world a little bit. And if they're heavy demonic attachments, they'll change the way you look at the world a lot. But that's not talk. Those are kind of special situations. We're talking about, again, the daily garden variety entity attachments. Acting completely out of character. Catch yourself, or maybe listen when someone else mentions that to you. They're mentioning it because they're concerned. And so this is something that could be created via entity attachments. Having strange accidents that are just not the kind of typical accidents that you have on a day in and day out basis. We all have accidents, but some of them are just kind of weird. Or string of bad luck, ongoing bad luck. Could be entity attachments. They really influence your world more than you know. Thinking unclearly, that's another one. Or just not feeling like yourself. Gee, what's the matter with me? This is not me. What's going on here? I felt like that at many times in my life. That's what led me deeper into my spiritual awakening journey, and has really, I believe, helped me in my lifetime to recognize these things and learn what to do about them. First, what they are, and then what to do about them. If some of these things ring a bell with you, maybe you could hit a 1 in the comment section. If any of these things are specific to what you'd like to learn more about, this particular area of recognizing them, maybe tap a 2 into your comment section. 1s and 2s. They're not attachments. Okay, so now that we have touched on the awareness side of things, let's talk about how this happens and how we can prevent it and eliminate it. So again, it's about low vibes. Anything you can do to eliminate low vibrational moments in your life that linger is going to help you with entity attachments. It's kind of like taking vitamin C on a regular basis to ward off, the cyclical cold season or something like that. That's how I think about it. Anything that brings us down, okay, is what we want to fight against. The good news is as a spiritually awakened journey member, you are learning how to raise your vibrational frequency whenever you can and as consistently as you can anyway. So this helps. So keep the vibes high. You can also do some interesting things like potions and swaging. So potions, which I don't know a ton about, but they're out there. You can learn more about them, is mixing up a little spray bottle of essential oils and things like that, fresh water, and giving yourself a little spritz. That's what they say it really helps. I haven't used it specifically, but I think I should. I think it's something we should all have. Swaging, which is taking white sage, and you get these, you've probably seen it, little bundles of white sage, and you light them on fire, and then they kind of go out to a little ember and they kick off a lot of smoke. Well, if you walk those sages around your house, supposedly wards off negative entities. This is what I'm told. I do it in my house. When I moved into my new house, I sprayed rose water around. Rose water. Anyway, I sprayed the rooms just to try and get rid of any lingering entities from the former occupants. Those are some basic things that maybe we've all done. Okay, down the path to continual prevention would be not hanging around low vibe environments and low vibe people. Again, we tend to attract like vibration. We're hanging out with our friends somewhere and they're just a bunch of complainers, or they're down on stuff continually, bringing up the same down topics that are just kind of bummers. That's going to lower your vibrational frequency. Entities are attracted to low vibrational frequency that matches theirs. Like frequency attracts like frequency. So you might want to consider environments that you put yourself in that are generally negative and just eliminate them from your life. You don't need them. Let's say you're going into a bar. It's crowded. Keep in mind, a lot of people go to bars because they're unhappy. They're down and they like to drink because drinking alcohol helps them numb out their low vibrational thoughts. They're not happy about something and they're kind of drinking to numb it. And that's different than just having a beer every now and then or something like that. When you're doing that, that's different than going into a bar or a social place like that and being around all these different vibrational frequencies. If you're with your friends and they're high vibes, that's all fun, but you're still around the environment. It's crowded. These entity attachments can move from aura to aura. So if your aura is this thing that surrounds you and it's bumping up against other people's aura, even though you're not right next to them necessarily super close, entities can jump from one aura to the next if the vibrational frequency is matching their vibrational frequency. So these are the types of situations that you want to avoid to the extent that you can. And if you feel like you've been in a situation like that, we'll talk about what you can do about it. That's just something to keep in mind. All right, so here we go. Those are some of the things you can do to prevent attachments. But furthermore, how do you raise your vibrational frequency quickly? Let's say you're going into an environment that is kind of low vibe. You can say to yourself, or you can say out loud in your car as you're driving up to a place, you can just mention out loud all the things in your life that you're grateful for. Just start rattling them off. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. That will start raising your vibrational frequency. Doing grounding in the morning or any time really, but I ground in the morning. You can, so our bodies are batteries, right? And energy has to flow positive to negative, and you get a buildup where the flow is impeded by a buildup of electrons on your feet, for example. And you can clear that out and get that flow going again by grounding to Mother Earth, going out and walking in your bare feet on grass, on dirt, on concrete, because concrete's grounded in. You can be in a hot tub that's grounded. Water grounds you very well. So these are things that you can do to, really help raise your vibrational frequency through grounding. You can hug a tree, be a tree hugger. Anyway, there's different ways to do it. In the wintertime, when it's cold out, I go down in my basement, my bare feet on the concrete, down in the earth, and I ground that way. I also touch my chimney, which goes from the main floor of my house down through the floor and into the basement and into the ground. It's grounded. I can feel the energy when you start doing this. This is getting rid of the blockage, and it's called grounding. That raises your vibrational frequency. You can also start doing breath work. Breath work comes in many forms, and I encourage you to investigate it. But for example, breath work as simple as doing deep breathing exercises at the same time you're grounding can really help you. You can feel the energy in your hand when you're breathing deep, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Those are just different ways you can raise your vibrational frequency. I'm sure you've heard of some of these ways. If you haven't, please investigate them and get a little program that you can do quickly and easily, and so it doesn't really take a lot of your time. But it's important. Among other things, it will help repel these entity attachments. So learn how to remove them. The next step, when you've got entity attachments, and it's hard to know if you really do, but it's, again, you're going through some of those points of awareness, and you might think that you've got an entity attachment issue, then you need to know what to do about it. So one of the things you can do, close your eyes, try and feel in your body where the attachment affecting your body. Identify that area. It's very subtle, right? It takes practice to feel confident in this, but just start and you'll figure it out. Surround it by white light and then say to yourself out loud if you want, everybody out. Breathe in, ha! Out, and command these entities to leave your aura. That's a little ceremony that I learned from Sonia Choquette. If you don't know Sonia Choquette, you can find her on YouTube. She's a beautiful human being, deep into energy, and she's just a lovely person to listen to and have her describe this too. So that's one of the simple little things I learned. Another one I learned is a command. If you think you need to get rid of some spiritual entity attachments, you can say, I command my spirit to remove from me everything that is not authentically me. Count backwards from 9 down to 0, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and exclaim, now. You're commanding your spirit to help you with this. Just another thing I learned. It's easy, right? It doesn't take any time at all. If you have that little thought go through your head, wow, I wonder if I'm kind of feeling down and out today because I was around a lot of people, the day before or most recently, and they're people I didn't know. Maybe it was a professional function and you were around a lot of people, you're shaking a lot of hands, that kind of thing. And you have the quick thought, just use one of those quick little ceremonies to get rid of this stuff right while you're thinking about it. Don't say to yourself necessarily, I got to remember to do this later. These are things you can do right away, right now. Another one that's a little longer that I like, and I think it's a little more intense, has to do with Archangel Michael and also the Elohim. You visualize or get a stainless steel knife and hold it 3 to 5 inches away from yourself and work it in a cutting motion, right? Like a cutting motion up and down. And you say, I call on Archangel Michael with his nets of blue lightning to clear away any and all energies, entities, and anything that I, Michael, can clear at this time and escort them to a place of evolution or dissolution. I furthermore ask the golden illumination Elohim to assist me, Michael, in removing all that is not of the light. Thank you. You do it 3 times. I like that one a lot. It takes a little bit more to do it. You got to memorize it. It's a little more to memorize, but I really enjoy that. I feel like I've affected my aura and my system after I've used that. There are many more. Find your own that you're comfortable with, or borrow these as long as you start. There's another way you can affect this too, and you can use the 4th ray, the white flame of ascension and purity. If you haven't gotten into the 7 rays, that's something that's fascinating, and I think it tends to be a little higher level that you get to before you start investigating those things, but I'm just throwing it out there. It's something to put in the back of your mind to investigate and learn more about, because it's very, very powerful knowledge for you to have and wisdom to understand. Okay, these are the rays of our origination, and there's 7 of them that are very common, and there's 5 more above that that you can access when you achieve a higher level of your awakening, really. But for example, the white flame of ascension and purity, you can call on Archangels Gabriel and Hope to help you with this. You can see I call on Archangel Gabriel and Hope as I invoke the white flame of ascension and purity to help me with entity attachments that I think are affecting me in this way. And you can go through that little ceremony, and you do that 3 times a day, and you will be amazed at the impact it will have on your life. So when I say it's something you want to learn these 7 rays, by the way, in the future, because they all have a different purpose. They can all affect your life in a very positive way once you understand how to use them and you embrace them. And you have to believe in them. They won't work if you don't believe it. That's the way it is with a lot of these spiritual things. They're there just because you go through the motions. You have to really believe that it's possible and believe that they can affect you in a positive way. And they will. But if you're skeptical with your arms crossed, going through a prayer ceremony or something like that, chances that they're not going to do much for you. Just an FYI, that's a little bit of a heads up. Well, that's all I've got today in this video. If you would, please like and subscribe, and let me know if there's anything you heard through this video that you'd like me to expand upon and do another video focusing on entirely. Like at some point, I'll do a video on the 7 rays. There's a lot of information there. And I can also point you to some sources for some extremely deep information there, probably deeper than I'm able to go with my knowledge and wisdom at this point. But I know about them, and I can share what I know. And that's what this channel is about, is giving you a basic level set in some of these areas so that you can fill in a framework on which to build spiritual journey on top of. Anyway, thanks for watching. Be well, and namaste.